Hi there, my name's Michael, and this is part one of a few that I am going to be giving you inside information about what happens when you get cancer. So, without further ado, let's start. Well, it all started back in 2017. We came into 2017 and everything was good. And suddenly I noted that I had developed a bump in the side of my neck. It didn't bother me. However, I decided to go to the doctor and have it checked out. He gave me a few tablets, as they do, and told me to go away. Well, a week later I was back. This time he looked a bit more concerned. The bump had grown slightly bigger, but it still was not giving me any problems. However, the doctor sent me to the hospital as he wanted a second opinion. And that is when it all started. In the year 2017, around the 20th of March, after being examined at the hospital, I had I think what they call a CT scan. I think that was the first one. Basically, they inject you with fluid while scanning you, and then they take that scan and then they look at it to assess whether there are any abnormalities, which in my case there was. And so the story started. Once they had assessed this sort of lump in my side of my throat, I then started to go through a series of tests. And the specialist at the time that I was seeing kept on coming up empty-handed about my lump in my side of my throat. Then finally, it was decided to take a tissue sample. Now you must bear in mind that you don't know that you have cancer. They suspect that it's cancer, but really you're sort of really kept in the dark, to be honest. It's this test, and it's that test, and it's more scans, and then it's PT scans, and then it's MRI scans. Oh, they scan you from left to right. Eventually, I had a biopsy. 1 of 3, I might add. And that sort of took you from March, April, May. They still kept on coming back with the same thing. Not positive. So that was a good thing. At which time I had to come back to this part of the world, and then I had to start the process all over again. And so I did. And believe me, when I say a process, I spent from May 2017 to the end of 2017 in and out of hospitals, scans, needle aspirations, and so on and so forth. In the beginning, it doesn't really hit you, and it's not like such a big deal. However, as time passes by, and they're still not getting any results, you start to sort of get a bit, not angry, but fed up with all these hospital appointments and blood being taken and this and that. So I eventually came to a point where I turned around and said, well, you seem to be missing this so-called lump in my neck, which is actually a lymph node. I think you should just take the thing out, and thereby you will have a complete sort of lump of tissue to work with, and I'm sure then you will be able to either deny or concur whether I have cancer or not. And I think the scar is still there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's there. That scar there. So they cut me up, and they took it out. And a few days later, I got told I had cancer, which was obviously a huge shock to me and to the people around me that I know and care for. And from that point onwards, I was then passed over to, obviously, a unit that deals with, cancer and so on. So my first appointment, I arrived, and I was explained what was going to be happening, and basically it's like signing your life away. It's like just so many papers that you sign and you sign and you sign. Basically you're saying, well, if anything goes wrong, it's not your fault, sort of thing. that is basically the start of the whole process. And even after they've told you that you have cancer, you still kind of like, you don't quite come to grips with exactly what it is, or yes, you do a little bit of research on it, and your friends sort of look it up, and your loved person will look it up, and as far as you go, which is me, you know, I try to just take it in my stride, one day at a time. So, let me introduce you to Michael number 2. This is the first thing they make for you when they know for sure exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. They make a mask like this, and this mask is plastic. It's a plastic sheet, and basically you lie down on a bed. They take this plastic out of a lukewarm bath. They put it on your face, and they squeeze it onto your face to give you the shape of your face, your nose, your mouth, your neck, your shoulders. And as you can see, there are black pins on this thing. Those black pins are used to basically bolt you down onto a table once you start having radiotherapy, and it is to keep you 100% from moving, as you cannot move. These machines are very precise, and they're just very precise, and there's no other way to say that that's what they do. For me, I'm not claustrophobic, so in the beginning it wasn't a big deal. But as time went on, this little white mask didn't even fit my face because I lost so much weight during my treatment. And my treatment lasted for 8 weeks. I had radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And, well, we shall be discussing all those other issues at a later date. Not to mention all the medications that you need, and so forth and so on. So that was the beginning of my long journey of 7 weeks. And believe me, when I say 7 weeks, it doesn't sound very long. But when you're going through this treatment, it's literally like a plan that they roll out for you. And you have to stick to it like glue every single day for 7 weeks. Excepting, of course, the weekends, which is time for you to sort of like relax a little bit. But I can assure you that there's no easy way to say this, but to say that it is a very, very trying time in anybody's life to go through any form of cancer. I think I was on my last week of treatment. And I was sitting in a car, and there was this old lady who was just short of 100 years old. And I said, "Oh, I feel like dying. I feel so ill." And she said to me, "Don't worry, darling. You'll make it." I had it twice. And in those days, they didn't do what they did in today's world. So hold on and stick with it, because you will get through this. And so I did. And that is part one of my video about my experience, which started in 2017, March, when they started prodding me and assessing me as to whether I have cancer or not. I would like to just add to the first video that going through all these treatments, which I'll be explaining at a later point, and there is also the aftermath of going through those treatments. So in general, it's quite a long and lengthy process and recovery. And I will just add to it that I also have something that I will be discussing later, which is something like this. That has been in there for over a year and a half now. But I'm confident that I hope to have it taken out this year. I can't speak for too long as my mouth gets dry because I have no saliva. In my mouth, in my throat, or literally anyway. Yeah, that is supposed to come back to you after a year. However, it can also not come back ever. And these are all the things that I'll be talking about in my next video. So I hope that by then somebody would have seen my first one. But at the same time, I don't really mind if no one has seen it, as I'm doing this video first of all for myself, so I can get self-confidence in opening up about my experience. And most of all, I would say it would be so nice if somebody that was worrying about, a certain type of cancer, and just maybe my type of cancer, which was cancer based at the bottom of my tongue, that they might find some unifying special understanding of what they might be going through, or what they will be going through. And that will be the end of this first intro video.